Welcome to Forum 2023, live at the Forum. My name is Bob Knight, and I'm Director of Government Relations and Workforce Policy for Equus Workforce Solutions. And with me today, it's a great pleasure to introduce Martin Schwartz, who is President of Vehicles for Change, headquartered in my home state of Maryland. So I was pleased to learn more about this at a workshop today. Martin, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let me give you a opportunity to just explain your program. Let me say, change to me, as I listened to your workshop earlier today, there's at least three parts. There's change for working families, low-income working families. There's change for ex-offenders, and there's change for the families around all of these people. So there are three ways in which positive change comes out of one relatively straightforward training program. And it's my pleasure then. You take it from there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here and the opportunity to talk about Vehicles for Change. So we're a 24-year-old nonprofit, and we really address two of the major issues that impact generational poverty: transportation and incarceration. So, you know, back when I started this program, Robert, in 1999, transportation was the #1 barrier to employment for families living in poverty. Unfortunately, today, transportation is still the #1 barrier. So we take donated cars, but unlike a lot of organizations that take a donated car and just sell it for the funds, we actually repair those cars, and then we work with organizations throughout the region that are either domestic violence programs, job training programs, job readiness, and we provide a car to the families that they're working with so they can get to and from employment to escape poverty. But over the years, we found that those cars have way more impact than just an individual getting a job. The majority of folks that get cars from us are single moms with 2 to 3 young children. And so all of a sudden, those kids have access to daycare, to after-school activities, to doctor's appointments, to grocery stores. You know, you live in an impoverished neighborhood, there aren't grocery stores. That's why they call them food deserts, right? So now I can get to the local Safeway, the Giant, the Aldi's, whatever it is, and I can go food shopping for my family. You know, we always talk about it's very expensive to be poor. It's expensive because you can't get around. So we actually sell a car to these families for $950, so they have a vested financial interest in the program, but we provide them with a 12-month loan so they can pay for the car over time, and they establish credit while they're doing that. So now it's kind of that super bonus where they get a little bit of both, and they get a 6-month, 6,000-mile warranty with the car, so we make sure that the car stays in good condition while they're getting back on their feet. And even after that, we have 4 locations throughout the state of Maryland. They can bring the car back to our facility and get it repaired at our cost as long as they own the car. So we always tell them, once you become a member of the Vehicles for Change family, you're stuck with us. And we try to take care of them as long as we possibly can. And then in 2016, we launched what we call the Full Circle Auto Repair and Training Center, where we work with individuals, most of whom are coming directly out of incarceration to be auto mechanics. So they come into our program and spend 4 months with us. It's a paid internship. It's 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. They spend time in the classroom preparing for ASE exams, so they're getting national certifications while they're with us. And the rest of the day, they're working hands-on training on those cars that are going to go to families. So they really get excited about almost giving back while they're with us, and particularly giving back to families that they know, that were in their neighborhood, that had they gotten a car, had their mom gotten a car, maybe they wouldn't have ended up in the situation that they're in. So that program's been an awesome program. We've trained over 200 individuals to date. We have a 90% completion rate, a 95% placement rate, and less than a 5% recidivism rate. And our guys started between $37,000 and $45,000, $50,000 a year, and very quickly earned 70 grand. So, you know, it's a neat program. My understanding is there's no other program like this in the country.
It's fascinating to me. Now, it involves all these other partnerships, which I think will be of real interest to the whole workforce community, because we work so hard all over the country to get quality partnerships. Explain a little bit more about the partnerships you have on two sides. One is to sort of scope out appropriate people to get this training who will likely benefit, but also families that would get the cars.
Sure. So, you know, the partnerships kind of started when we started the program, where we got our first grant from a local foundation, the Able Foundation in Baltimore, and we were going to award 100 cars that year. And I said to the Able Foundation, I said, we don't want to have to go out and find our recipients on our own, because then we have to vet them and we have to figure out whether they're doing what they're doing. I said, connect us with other grantees that are doing workforce development work, and that way we'll work with them and they can send us the families that need the car. So that's how that whole piece started. So we started working with, you know, other grantees. So it was like, and of course our funder looked at us and said, wow, what a bonus for the folks that they're already serving, because now they can get transportation for those families. So we really look at us, at our program, that program being kind of a service organization for all these other, whether it's a domestic violence program, a job readiness program, a rehabilitation program. And then as we started to build our workforce training with employment, we started working with our employers in the region. So we work with organizations like Heritage Automotive and National Automobile Dealers Association and Napa Auto Parts, because everybody needs a technician. I mean, the need for technicians across just the state of Maryland is over 7,000 individuals, and nobody's training them. They can't find them. I mean, we can't even train that many. So we'll train this year somewhere between 100 and 120, and we have these amazing partners. And even today, next week we'll have 2 new employment partners that'll call us, you know, because I always said we built the Vehicles for Change program on what I call the Field of Dreams model. If you build it, they will come. And we've built a program that graduates excellent technicians, but even better employees and better people. And so we have employers all over the state of Maryland calling us all the time wanting to hire our graduates.
And then you have a partnership with the justice system, because you talked about the fact that you can get behind the fence, as you put it at one point, and at least begin to vet out the people that would be appropriate when they come out. And the other thing you mentioned I thought was incredible is paying them when they're in training, because a vet, you know, an ex-con, as you might call them, comes out with no money. Absolutely. And how do you go to a training program and you have no money?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we created a partnership with the Department of Labor in the state of Maryland, and they do the training within the prison system. And then we also created a partnership with the Department of Justice and Corrections. And so my team goes into the prison system, and there's actually an automotive training program in the prison in the state of Maryland and several of the prisons. And so we get to know the instructors, and as the individuals go through that program, we go in and meet with them and let them know about the opportunities when we come out, and then they have to be recommended by their instructor to get into our program, because our program is very expensive. It costs us $18,000 to train an individual, so we really don't have the funds to train people that aren't interested in ending up being technicians. And as you mentioned, when we developed the program, we realized that if you're coming out of incarceration, you have bills that you have to cover. You have to feed yourself. You have to find housing. You have to get back and forth, and you can't do that without funding. And if we didn't provide the funding, they would probably try to find that funding in another way. Maybe it would be legal, maybe it wouldn't. So we pay our guys an average of about $400 a week to make sure that they're going to show up, they're going to be there, and that we have that ability to open that door for them at the end of the program.
And you even give them raises as they go, you were explaining, when they pass some of the tests for automotive tests that they take for certificates.
Yeah, we do. So we really gear the whole program around their being more or less employed by Vehicles for Change. So it's very important to us that, you know, we have a time limit. You need to show up on time. You need to be there every day. You need to focus on the work that you're doing. And we want you to get better. No different than when you go to an employer, they want you to get better. Well, how do they incentivize that? They pay you more. So in our program, once you pass your first ASE exam, you get a bump in salary. Once you are able to do a set of breaks on your own, you get a bump in salary. So we take you, up all along the way to gear everything as much as we can toward that employment opportunity.
And it all seems to work. The other thing I found interesting is there's a lot of just oil change kinds of places all over the country now, big chains. And you do place people there when that's what you can find, but you try to get people with dealers. And that's because what? They get lifelong learning there, which is so important.
Yeah, we want to make sure that when our guys go out into the field, they're either going to a shop that's going to continue their education or they're going to go to a dealership. And as a dealership, you know, if you go to Toyota, if you go to Ford, right away the first thing they do is they send you to Ford school, they send you to GM school. They want you to get better, they want you to move up. So we're working very hard with our guys as they go out to make sure that they're placed in a place where they're going to be successful. And as you talk about those entry-level positions, that's where we designed our virtual reality training.
I want to get into the virtual reality, and I just wanted to mention as an aside that one of your former students was with you, named Terrence, and had a great story to tell as a person who came out of the justice system and now is an employee with you all at Vehicles for Change, but also has his own company and has a huge drive to succeed, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
But let's go to the VR. If you want to mention Terrence,
sure,
please do.
Terrence he's an amazing individual, but he's a typical graduate of our program because we're able to spend that period of time with him and get them beyond that point of hopelessness to, hey, I'm a good man and I'm good at what I do and I can be successful and I have a skill that I can offer to other people.
And we haven't talked about the wraparound, but you have a very comprehensive list of wraparound services that you give to these young, mostly men, but what, 10% women?
Yep.
Because the adjustment must be very hard for people that go through this. And all these services make for your success in part.
It really does. It's hugely, I mean, it's as important, if not maybe more important than the actual skills training. So, you know, to kind of reacclimate to society, as you heard Terrence say, he had been incarcerated for 20 years. I mean, 20 years, just think about if somebody took 20 years of your life away and kind of put you in a closet and came out, it's like, wow, the world's a different place. And it's not just the world's a different place, but the society that you were in while you were incarcerated changes the way you think and the way you act, the way you talk to people, the way you interact with your families. And so our wraparound services are really important to provide that support for those individuals. And it's not just from our case management people, but our instructors understand what our guys went through. And they work with each other to help each other overcome some of these barriers. When we do a graduation for an individual, it's amazing how they talk about the other guys in their class or the other people in their class that help them get through some situations. So it's hugely valuable to have that kind of a situation.
And you have, if I recall, is it 3 or 4 physical garages where cars are fixed in the state of Maryland?
Yeah, we do. So all of our garages are social enterprises. So that's a business that we have open to the public. That's how we generate about 20% of our proceeds for the organization. So anybody can bring their car there and get it repaired. We have a used car lot, so we sell cars to the general public. Those folks can bring their car back to our facility and get it repaired. We do repairs for the state of Maryland. So you know, we're trying to grow our garage business, and you know, we're very big into the whole social enterprise world. Right. And again, we mentioned the virtual reality. That's another social enterprise that we're building to generate revenue, because we intend to open 20 locations in the next 5 years.
Okay, I was going to go there. I certainly enjoyed seeing the little clip you had of virtual reality in a garage, and I was going to say, we could keep this just between us and Maryland and let the other states worry, but your goal really is to begin to move this to out to the country. So maybe before we conclude, we want to make sure people know how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
And what it might take for them to, using virtual reality, we can expand the program far beyond what would have been possible pre-virtual reality, correct?
Yeah, we're really excited about the whole virtual reality thing. We can literally put virtual reality in any location across the country for less than $1,000 a person and get people trained as auto technicians. This technology has been reviewed by the National Automobile Dealers Association, by NAPA. The National Automobile Dealers Association called us the most innovative community-based auto tech training program in America. And so we're excited about making that available to high schools for their CTE programs, to put in prisons anywhere in the country, workforce development programs, community colleges. So it'll allow us to expand our training opportunities pretty easily and efficiently across the country, but we also intend to open up 20 brick and mortar locations so that we can provide cars to families in other locations and provide that hands-on training as well.
You know, I think the Vehicles for Change has important benefits for the people in the program, but I think communities will be particularly interested in the way families are tied into this and their independence assured. I mean, so there's double if not triple payoff in the program. Marty, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. I did want to give you a chance to say, how do we reach you?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
We get some ideas.
Yeah, so you can check us out on our website at vehiclesforchange.org. And you can reach me at email is mschwartz, schwartz, @vehiclesforchange.org.
Great. Well, my guest today has been Martin Schwartz, who is the president of Vehicles for Change. It's been a very interesting session, and we hope you get a chance to look into this program. Thank you very much.